Hi, I'm Julian Sanders, and over the past few months, I've been interacting with my good friend James as part of my global learning project for TE 150. Now, the theme of this project was to better understand the idea of global accommodation, and the way that was approached was by undergoing two different interactions. For our first interaction, I chose to make a traditional Macedonian dish with my friend James. The food turned out great and we had an amazing time. What was really interesting to me, though, was how much I learned about how global accommodation has played a role in my life. I grew up as a first-generation American. My family immigrated from Macedonia, and Macedonian culture has always been a part of my life, and I always just kind of took it for granted. When I was talking to James throughout this interaction, however, his fascination and all of his curiosities about the culture I grew up in really kind of pushed me to think a little bit more about what global accommodation means to me. And what I took out of this was how much my family has been globally accommodated. Over a break we had in school, I decided to chat with my grandparents a little bit and ask them what they were most thankful for when coming to the US.
Ti, majko, što misliš, što ti je najdobro u Amerika?
Sve mi bilo najdobro.
Sve?
Sve mi bilo. Ta tetka ti Olga što me donela, mi bila najmila i nas mnogo ne gledala i rabota smo našli dobro.
They said was how accommodating everyone was to them. And it was really interesting for me to kind of realize that global accommodation has played a role in my life. If my grandparents and parents hadn't been accepted, I likely wouldn't be around. So this kind of really spoke to me. Our second interaction, my friend James decided to take me shopping at the local Asian food store. While we had a great time, I didn't learn as much from the groceries as I did from my conversations with James while we were buying them. I've always thought of myself as a very accommodating person, but there's always something to learn. When I was talking with James, the thing he said he missed most was his family. I've lived in the same state and the same house as my family for 18 years of my life, and I can pretty much see them whenever I want. James, on the other hand, doesn't have this luxury. This kind of led me to realize that as a person, as a human, we have an obligation to accommodate people in this scenario. And I feel that's very important. James is very close to me, and while I obviously cannot take the role his family does in his life, I hope to provide some of the support and some of the comfort that his family does, seeing as he's one of my really good friends. And this kind of brings me to what I feel global accommodation means to me.